The Aegis research station hung like a jewel against the backdrop of Jupiter's swirling storms, its crystalline observation domes reflecting the gas giant's perpetual tempest. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the primary viewport, her dark eyes fixed on an anomalous reading that had appeared at the edge of their long-range sensors 3 days ago. The signature was unlike anything humanity had encountered in its 2 centuries of space exploration. Dr. Chen, the signal's changing again. Marcus Torres, her lead technician, called from his station. It's strengthening. Whatever it is, it's moving closer to the solar system. Sarah moved swiftly to the holographic display, her movements practiced despite the low gravity. The anomaly had grown from a pinpoint to a distinct shape, geometric, artificial, and massive. Initial calculations suggested it was larger than anything humanity had ever constructed. "Alert Sol Command," she ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "And get me a direct link to Admiral Harrison." Within hours, the Aegis station's observation deck was crowded with Earth's top scientists and military officials, all connected via quantum entanglement communications. The object had revealed itself to be an ancient space station, its architecture defying known physics with impossible angles and surfaces that seemed to bend space itself. Admiral James Harrison's hologram stood beside Sarah, his weathered face tight with concentration. "How old are we talking about, Doctor?" Based on our preliminary scans, Sarah pulled up a series of complex calculations. At least 3 million years. The energy signatures suggest it's been dormant, but something's awakening inside it. "A dormant alien station," Harrison mused, "just sitting at the edge of our solar system." "Anyone else thinking trap?" Sarah shook her head. "The technology is far beyond anything we've theorized possible. If whatever built this wanted to harm us, they wouldn't need tricks. This could be the greatest discovery in human history." The decision to send an expedition was unanimous. Within weeks, the UES Prometheus, Earth's most advanced research vessel, departed for the ancient station. Sarah led the scientific team, while Captain Maya Rodriguez commanded the military escort. The journey to the edge of the solar system took 3 months, even with the latest antimatter drives. As they approached the station, its true scale became apparent. The structure was a maze of interconnected rings and spheres, each large enough to house a small city. Its surface was covered in patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed directly, as if the station itself was alive. "Beginning docking procedures," Maya announced, her hands dancing over the neural interface controls. "Dr. Chen, your team ready?" Sarah checked her EVA suit one final time. "Ready. We've trained for this moment our entire lives." The first signs of trouble came just as they successfully docked. New energy signatures appeared on their sensors, ships emerging from faster-than-light travel. They were sleek, predatory vessels that moved with impossible grace. "Multiple contacts," the sensor officer shouted. "They're not responding to hails." Before anyone could react, the alien ships opened fire. Their weapons weren't the expected energy beams or projectiles. Instead, they fired what appeared to be living tendrils of dark energy that consumed everything they touched. "Get us out of here," Maya ordered, but it was too late. The tendrils had already latched onto the Prometheus's hull. Sarah watched in horror as the ship's armor began to dissolve. "They're not just attacking us," she realized, studying the readings. "They're harvesting us. The technology, the materials, everything." The alien vessels, later dubbed the Nexari by Earth intelligence, methodically stripped the Prometheus apart. Only the emergency beacon managed to transmit their fate back to Earth, carrying with it detailed scans of both the ancient station and their attackers. The few survivors, Sarah among them, were forced to watch from escape pods as the Nexeri claimed the ancient station for themselves. As her pod drifted through space waiting for rescue, Sarah made a discovery that would change the course of humanity's future. The Nexeri weren't the station's creators. They were scavengers, stealing technology they didn't fully understand. When Sarah finally returned to Earth 3 weeks later, she found a changed world. The attack had united humanity in a way nothing else had before. The old nations and corporate alliances had merged into the Earth Defense Coalition, pooling resources and technology to prepare for what everyone now knew was coming. In her debriefing before the Coalition Council, Sarah delivered the words that would become humanity's rallying cry. They think they've shown us our weakness. Instead, they've revealed their own. They rely on stolen technology they don't understand. We humans, we build, we learn, we adapt. And now we know exactly what we're up against. The Nexeri had meant to destroy humanity's hopes of joining the galactic community. Instead, they had given humanity something far more dangerous: a purpose. The war for Earth's future was about to begin. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the heart of Project Shadowfall, Earth's most classified military installation buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains. 5 years had passed since the Nexeri attack, and humanity had used every second of that time wisely. The massive chamber before her housed what she believed would be the key to humanity's survival: the quantum ghost drive. The principles are actually quite elegant, Sarah explained to the assembled military leaders. We discovered that the Nexeri sensors rely on detecting disturbances in space-time. So we created a drive that doesn't disturb space. It slides between its folds. General Maria Kovac, the weathered leader of Earth's combined forces, stepped forward to study the prototype ship suspended in the chamber. Unlike traditional human vessels with their sharp angles and visible engines, this craft was organic in shape, its hull composed of metamaterials that absorbed rather than reflected energy. And you're certain they won't be able to detect it? Kovac asked, her accent thick with skepticism. Sarah smiled. We tested it against recovered Nexeri sensor technology. To them, our ships will be ghosts. The development of the ghost drive was just one part of humanity's silent strategy. In the years following the first attack, Earth had transformed itself. The old International Space Station had become a decoy, heavily monitored and deliberately visible. The real work happened in secret facilities throughout the solar system, hidden in ways the Nexeri would never expect. Deep within Mercury's scorched canyons, vast energy collectors powered quantum computation arrays. Beneath Europa's ice, automated factories produced advanced weaponry. In the clouds of Venus, floating research stations developed new technologies based on the scans of the ancient station. Humanity had turned the entire solar system into a hidden fortress. Commander David Okafor, head of special operations, activated a holographic display showing the latest intelligence. The Nexeri have established bases in neighboring systems, he reported. They're methodical, following the same patterns they've likely used to subjugate other species. They expect us to either cower in our system or attempt a desperate frontal assault. But we're not going to do either, Sarah finished, because we understand something they don't: the true purpose of the ancient station they stole from us. The room fell silent as Sarah revealed her team's findings. The patterns they'd observed on the station weren't just decoration. They were a mathematical language, one that described the fundamental laws of the universe in ways humanity was only beginning to comprehend. The station wasn't a weapon or a fortress, Sarah explained. It was a library, built by a species so advanced they could manipulate the fabric of reality itself. The Nexari don't understand what they found. They use the technology like children playing with their parents' tools. General Kovac's eyes narrowed. And we can use this knowledge against them. Sarah nodded, bringing up another hologram. This one showing the complex equations her team had decoded. The ancient builders left clues for species ready to understand them. The Nexari's stolen technology operates on principles they never bothered to study. But we have. The next phase of the plan was already in motion. While the Nexari watched Earth's obvious military buildup, the planetary defense shields, the orbital platforms, the patrol fleets, they remained blind to humanity's true preparations. Hidden ships were being launched daily, their ghost drives allowing them to slip past the Nexari observation posts. Each vessel carried specially trained crews and experimental weapons based on the ancient builders' principles. They established hidden bases throughout nearby systems, positioning themselves for an operation unprecedented in human history. The Nexari think they're studying us, learning our weaknesses, Commander Okafor said. They don't realize we're the ones doing the real studying. Sarah moved to another console, bringing up footage from their stealth probes. The Nexari ships, once so terrifying, now looked different to her educated eyes. She could see the flaws in their stolen technology, the weaknesses in their understanding, their dark energy weapons. She pointed out, they're using them at maybe 10% of their potential. Their faster-than-light drives waste enormous amounts of energy because they don't understand the underlying principles. Every piece of technology they've stolen, they use like a hammer when it's really a precision instrument. General Kovac allowed herself a small smile. And we understand these principles. We're learning, Sarah replied. More importantly, we're learning the right way, building our understanding from the ground up rather than simply copying what we don't comprehend. The meeting concluded with the approval of Operation Starcatcher. While the Nexari prepared for a conventional war, humanity would fight in ways their enemy couldn't imagine. The ghost ships would strike from impossible angles, using weapons based on principles the Nexari had never bothered to study. As Sarah left the facility that night, she paused to look at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Nexari were preparing their invasion, confident in their stolen power. They had no idea that their greatest weakness wasn't their technology. It was their assumption that they were superior. Humanity had spent its entire history learning, adapting, and overcoming. Now those traits would prove to be their greatest weapons in the war to come. The silent strategy was set. The next move would be Operation Starcatcher, and it would change everything. The ghost ship Artemis drifted silently through the violet nebula of the Carina sector, its quantum drive leaving no trace in the fabric of space. Captain Maya Rodriguez, one of the few survivors of the Prometheus incident, stood at the command center, watching the Nexari supply station through advanced sensor arrays. "Status report," she whispered, though the Nexari couldn't have heard her even as she shouted. "All teams in position." Lieutenant Kai Chen, Sarah's younger brother, reported from Tactical. "Ghost Fleet holding formation. Operation Starcatcher is ready to commence." Operation Starcatcher wasn't just an attack plan. It was a message. Humanity had spent months studying Nexari psychology through their communications and behavior patterns. They'd discovered something crucial. The Nexari weren't just scavengers. They were proud ones. They genuinely believed their theft of advanced technology made them superior. "Signal the fleet," Maya ordered. "Execute Phase 1. Across the nebula, 30 ghost ships activated specialized devices, reverse-engineered from the ancient station's data. The devices didn't attack the Nexari station directly. Instead, they began to interfere with the stolen technology the Nexari relied upon. The effect was immediate and devastating. Nexari systems began to shut down, not through brute force, but through precise manipulation of the principles they never understood. Their artificial gravity fluctuated. Their sensors showed phantom readings. Their communication systems broadcast gibberish. They're responding exactly as predicted, Kai noted, watching the Nexari ships scramble in confusion. They're trying to brute force their way through the interference. Maya allowed herself a grim smile. Begin Phase 2. The Ghost Fleet emerged from hiding, but not as warships. Using advanced holographic technology, they appeared as replicas of the ancient station that the Nexari had stolen. Dozens of impossible structures shimmered into existence, each one an exact copy of the prize they'd taken from humanity. The psychological impact was calculated and precise. The Nexari, faced with multiple versions of the technology they'd built their empire upon, fell into disarray. Their command structure, based on technological superiority, began to crumble. They're launching fighters, Kai reported, but their formation is chaotic. They don't know which targets are real. Deploy the Fireflies, Maya commanded. From each ghost ship, swarms of tiny drones emerged. Unlike traditional weapons, these were based on principles humanity had decoded from the ancient builders' mathematics. They didn't attack with energy or projectiles. They simply negated the effects of the Nexari's stolen technology. The scene that unfolded was unlike any battle in human history. Nexari ships, suddenly stripped of their advanced systems, drifted helplessly. Their dark energy weapons fizzled into harmless sparks. Their impenetrable shields became transparent and then vanished. Multiple Nexari vessels are powering down, Kai announced. They're abandoning their ships. Maya leaned forward. Send the message. Across all frequencies in the mathematical language of the ancient builders that humanity had partially decoded, Earth's message was broadcast. We understand what you merely use. This is your only warning. The Nexari response was panic. Pure, unbridled panic. Their entire worldview, based on technological superiority through theft, had been shattered. The supply station, one of their major outposts, fell without a single direct shot being fired. As Earth forces secured the station, Maya received a priority communication from Sarah Chen back at Project Shadowfall. Her hologram appeared, excitement clear on her face. Maya, the data you're recovering, it's better than we hoped. The station's databases contain information about other species the Nexari have subjugated, other potential allies. How many? Maya asked. Dozens, and that's not all. We've confirmed our theory about the ancient builders. They didn't vanish. They evolved beyond the need for physical technology. What the Nexari have been stealing, it's nothing compared to what was left behind for species ready to understand it. Maya looked out at the disabled Nexari ships, feeling a mix of pity and determination. They never had a chance, did they? They were so busy stealing power, they never learned how to truly wield it. The success of Operation Starcatcher marked a turning point in the war, but not through traditional military victory. Instead, it revealed the fundamental truth. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the technology they'd developed or the strategies they'd created. It was their ability to understand, to learn, to see beyond the surface to the deeper principles beneath. While the Nexari had spent millennia stealing and hoarding technology, humanity had spent its history questioning, learning, and truly understanding the universe around them. As the Ghost Fleet secured their position, Maya received reports of similar successes across 3 other sectors. Operation Starcatcher hadn't just captured a strategic location, it had shattered the myth of Nexeri invincibility. The war was far from over, but its nature had fundamentally changed. The Nexeri would no longer face humanity as superior beings wielding stolen power. They would face them as what they truly were: scavengers who had finally encountered a species that could see through their technological facade. And in the depths of space, more ancient stations waited, their secrets ready to be understood, not merely used. Deep within the captured Nexeri supply station, Dr. Sarah Chen made a discovery that changed everything. She stood in what appeared to be a biological research lab, surrounded by stasis pods containing various alien species, but it was the genetic data scrolling across her tablet that held her attention with an iron grip. "This can't be right," she muttered, running the analysis again. Behind her, Captain Maya Rodriguez and Lieutenant Kai Chen secured the room while a team of specialists downloaded the station's databases. "What did you find?" Maya asked, noting the scientist's unusual agitation. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she pulled up a holographic display. "The Nexeri, they're not just scavengers. They're engineered. Someone created them specifically to collect and test advanced technology." The revelation stunned the room into silence. The genetic data showed clear signs of artificial manipulation. The Nexeri's 4-limb structure, their ability to interface with various technologies, even their aggressive acquisition instincts, all carefully designed. But who would create a species just to steal technology? Kai asked, moving closer to examine the data. "The better question is why," Maya interjected. "Why create a species to steal and test technology when you could just do it yourself?" Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. "Because you're looking for something specific. The ancient builders, they didn't just leave technology behind. They left tests." The team worked through the night, decoding more of the station's data. The truth began to emerge like a constellation coming into focus. The ancient builders hadn't simply transcended physical form. They'd created a vast experiment spanning galaxies and millennia. The Nexeri were just one of many engineered species, each designed to interact with left-behind technology in specific ways. Some, like humanity, were meant to understand and innovate. Others, like the Nexeri, were meant to collect and stress test. "Look at this." Sarah pointed to a new set of readings. The Nexeri's neural structure. It's designed to prevent them from truly understanding the principles behind the technology they collect. They can use it, copy it, but never comprehend it. They're like automated quality control for ancient technology. Maya frowned. "Are you saying they don't have a choice? That they're just following their programming?" "No, they have free will," Sarah corrected. "But their minds are structured to focus on acquisition rather than understanding. It's not mind control. It's more like an instinctive drive, like how humans are driven to learn and explore." The implications were staggering. The war wasn't just about territory or resources. It was about breaking free from roles assigned by beings who had transcended physical existence eons ago. "We need to show them," Sarah decided. "If we can help them understand what they are, maybe we can break the cycle." But before they could act on this discovery, the station's sensors blared to life. A massive Nexeri fleet had emerged from faster-than-light travel, the largest concentration of ships humanity had ever encountered. "They're not here to fight," Kai realized, studying their formation. "This is a recovery mission. They think we're trying to steal their technology, just like they would." Maya quickly formulated a plan. "Sarah, Can you broadcast your findings about their origins on all frequencies? Let them see what we've discovered." "It's not that simple," Sarah replied. "Their minds are literally designed to reject this kind of information. We need to show them, not tell them." An idea formed, dangerous, possibly insane, but perfectly human in its audacity. Using the station's own systems, they began transmitting not just data, but a specific sequence of energy patterns derived from the ancient builders' mathematics. The effect on the Nexari fleet was immediate. Ships began to drift out of formation as their crews experienced something they never had before: clarity. The carefully engineered barriers in their minds began to crack, letting them see beyond their programmed purpose for the first time. Some ships opened fire, their crews desperately clinging to their old identity. Others simply powered down, overwhelmed by their new awareness. A few, a precious few, opened communications. The first message they received was garbled, confused, but unmistakably different from any previous Nexari communication. What are we?" Sarah stepped forward, her voice steady as she responded. "You are what we all are, part of a greater experiment. But unlike us, you were never given the choice to be more than your design. We can help you make that choice now." The next few hours were chaos as the Nexari fleet divided itself between those who embraced the truth and those who rejected it. But with each passing moment, more ships joined the side of understanding. Maya watched the scene unfold with a mixture of hope and caution. "You realize this changes everything. The entire war was never really about us versus them," Sarah finished. "It was about breaking free from predetermined roles, about proving that any species can transcend its original purpose." The turning point had arrived, but not through military victory or technological superiority. It came through understanding. Humanity's greatest strength. By comprehending not just the technology, but the grand design behind it all, they had done more than win a war. They had begun to unravel the greatest experiment in galactic history. And somewhere, in dimensions beyond normal space and time, the ancient builders might have been smiling. Their true test, the ability of species to break free from their design purposes and choose their own path, was finally showing results. The war's final phase would not be fought with weapons, but with ideas. And humanity, with its perpetual drive to understand and share knowledge, was perfectly positioned to lead the way. 1 year after the revelation of the Nexari's true nature, Earth's orbital defense platform, Avalon, hosted an unprecedented gathering. Representatives from 17 formerly subjugated species joined with Earth's leaders and those Nexari who had chosen to break free from their programming. The ancient station that had started it all hung in space nearby, finally returned to human custody. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the central podium, facing an audience that represented the greatest diversity of intelligent life ever assembled in one place. Maya Rodriguez and Kai Chen flanked her, along with General Kovac and the Earth Defense Coalition leadership. "The ancient builders didn't just leave us technology," Sarah began, her voice carrying across the chamber. "They left us a choice. Every species in this room was designed with a purpose. The Nexari to collect, the Zarkathi to preserve, the Meridians to connect. But humanity was designed to understand." She gestured to the holographic display, showing the complete genetic analysis of every known spacefaring species. Our gift wasn't superior technology or special abilities. It was curiosity, an unrelenting drive to look beyond the surface and ask why. A Nexari representative, their iridescent wings folded carefully behind them, stepped forward. "And by understanding, you broke not just your own chains, but ours as well." The past year had been transformative. Once the truth about their engineered nature became known, many Nexari chose to work with Earth's scientists to overcome their genetic programming. It wasn't easy. Their minds literally fought against understanding deeper principles, but human scientists had developed technologies to help bypass these limitations. But the ancient builder's experiment isn't over, Maya added, joining Sarah at the podium. We've decoded more of their messages. They didn't transcend physical form just to abandon us. They're waiting. The chamber erupted in murmurs as Sarah activated the station's primary interface. Patterns of light danced across its surface, forming equations that described not just physics, but the very nature of consciousness itself. They wanted to ensure that when species finally reached their level of development, they would do so through understanding, not mere technological acquisition. Sarah explained. Each of us was given different pieces of the puzzle. The Nexari's drive to collect technology, the Zarkathi's perfect memory, humanity's need to understand. All of these were tools meant to be combined. General Kovac stepped forward, her weathered face solemn. Which is why today, we're proposing the formation of the Galactic Understanding Initiative. Not an alliance of military power, but a cooperative dedicated to sharing knowledge and breaking free from pre-designed roles. The response was overwhelming. Species that had been locked in conflict for millennia now saw a greater purpose. The Nexari's vast collection of technology, combined with humanity's drive to understand, and the unique capabilities of other species, promised advances beyond anything any single race could achieve alone. As the chamber erupted in discussion, Sarah moved to a quiet corner with Maya and Kai. Through the massive viewport, they could see Earth shining like a blue jewel. You know what the most remarkable thing is, Kai mused. The ancient builders must have known this would happen. They designed the Nexari to be aggressive collectors, knowing it would eventually lead them to conflict with a species capable of understanding. Maya nodded. They created a problem that could only be solved through cooperation and comprehension. The perfect test. And it's just the beginning, Sarah added, looking at new data streaming in from the ancient station. These equations, they're not just about physics or technology. They're about the nature of consciousness itself. The ancient builders didn't just transcend physical form. They found a way to evolve consciousness to a higher state. And they left breadcrumbs for us to follow. Maya finished. Not just technology to be used, but principles to be understood. The gathering concluded with the signing of the Initiative Charter. The former Scifi-Empire, once built on stolen technology, would become a network of research centers. Earth's ghost ships would be repurposed for exploration rather than war. Every species would contribute their unique perspectives and abilities to the greater goal of understanding. As Sarah watched the representatives depart, she felt a profound sense of rightness. Humanity's greatest achievement hadn't been winning the war or developing advanced technology. It had been showing that true power comes not from what you possess, but from what you understand. The legacy of Earth would not be measured in military victories or technological achievements, but in the fundamental change they had brought to galactic civilization. They had proven that any species could transcend their original design, that understanding was more powerful than possession, and that the greatest adventures lay not in conquering the unknown, but in comprehending it. And somewhere, in dimensions beyond normal space and time, the ancient builders watched as their greatest experiment unfolded exactly as they had hoped. The children of their design were finally ready to begin their journey toward true transcendence. The story of humanity's first steps into the galactic community wasn't ending. It was transforming into something far greater. A journey not of conquest or survival, but of understanding that would span millennia and change the very nature of consciousness itself. The dawn of a new era had begun, and it started with a simple human trait: the need to understand why.